Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up Michigan. Yes, my old neck of the woods, Motor City Madmouth, appropriately named, especially for this show. And as you can tell by Candy putting my book up there, keep it up there as all show. We have to. Lessons from the microphone, old school media versus new school media that can be purchased on Amazon and Kindle. But here I have my crew today on this show here. Yeah, Georgia Sporting North. Okay. Not to the North Pole, just north where you can see the book. Good stuff. And he's obviously the man that wrote the forward of the book. George Eichhorn, welcome back. We have a twin bill tonight, don't we, Mr. Eichhorn?
Yes. Good to be on here. And yeah, it's a great book, folks. You got to get a copy of that.
And of course, Jeremy Ballrick, who has come a long way in our system. He really, really has. We talk about a guy that started with nothing, and now he's really matured himself into a very good broadcaster, and I'm glad he's followed the program. All right, Jeremy, welcome back. You see two kings there, Smoke King. I didn't know if I was seeing double or what, but whatever. Don't mess with my eye vision, even though you're not getting me to knock my head off. Right.
If you see the logo, you understand why. The guy added an extra K, so I had to change the name. It's Smoke King now.
Oh.
All right. I didn't know this was an unplanned eye exam that I have, but nevertheless, there you are. And let me give everybody an idea what the agenda is. We're going to be talking Red Wings hockey tonight. Michael Rasmussen, as well as the Red Wings outdoor game. Chauncey Billups, Jeremy Ballrick will end the show kind of with some Lions updates. And also immediately after this, we have the Sports Exchange with myself, George Eichhorn. Travis Holmes will be on that show tonight, and he'll be joined with Jacob Christner. So we have close to 2 hours of broadcast tonight. Looking forward to make sure we can entertain you the best that we possibly can. And with that said, let me just go over a couple things really quickly, and that being this, okay? Just so you know, Fire Up Michigan being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Fire Up Michigan can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on South Florida YouTube. South Florida Tribune, We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room or send your topic idea to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Go to advertise constitutionally. Give me a call at 954-304-4941. I'll go over more stuff afterwards. This is a good start because we already know that Mr. Will Vogel is on fire, and Jeremy Ballrick is going to read every last one of them. Right, Jeremy?
Sure.
All right, there you go. Good evening, everyone. That's a real hard.
Good evening, Will.
The stadium sits 102,780 is the 12th oldest college football stadium. It will be the Blue Jackets' first outdoor game and the fourth for the Red Wings, who are 2-0-2, the last one being in 2017. But at the same time, that 102,000 I want to add to only matters for the seats that are in the stadium. It does not include the ones that they'll fill in on the floor because the hockey rink is a lot smaller than what the stadium is. They're probably going to be packing in close to 110,000 fans would be my guess. The Red Wings have the most attended game in NHL history, which is 105,491 fans in attendance at 214 at the Big House, at 2014 at the Big House. Onto the one coming up at Ohio University of Ohio is third largest college stadium.
Well, Ohio State University, but
yeah,
Ohio Bobcats.
It's okay.
You have a different university, but I know where the kid's coming from. I like that.
Yeah.
As well.
Smoking Jay, what you smoking today, my friend? Hot topics and whatever Scott leads me to.
There you go. Exactly. And Joshua Burstein, a friend of the show. Look at this guy, man. He comes there. He always asks about you, anyways, Jeremy. My guy, when is smoking Jeremy B? Come on. Hey, Jesse, how are you? Oh, I love that room. Keep it rolling. Who knows? We'll get a show done. If we don't, it's okay too. What's up there?
Guy that hopped in from my channel is undone. Saying what time you're going live? It says 7:56. Oh, we're live now.
There you go. All right, well, let's talk about our first topic of the night. And he kind of reminds me of the Mahavlich brothers, George Eichhorn, Peter Mahavlich, as well as Frank Mahavlich. His name is Michael Rasmussen. Signs a 4-year extension. The guy's 6'6", 229 pounds. And you know what? I love watching Rasmussen because it's always good to have these tall players that can, just make moves and get over people. So, all right, George, let's talk about Michael Rasmussen. think Steve Eiserman did right by getting him an extension?
Well, obviously, Rasmussen has made great progress the last couple of years. He kind of was up and down, so to speak, with the former coach, and I think that he's really, really improved his game the last year and a half. So, yeah, he's been one of the bright spots for them. I think that you're going to see this from Iserman is trying to lock up these guys that he feels are key components. I mean, he's not going to hand away huge contracts to everybody on the roster. They can't afford to do that. But what they are going to do is select the ones that are showing the promise and, more importantly, playing good hockey and leading this team to right now has been kind of like I don't want to use the wins. I don't want to say Cinderella season because we don't know how it's going to end up, but it certainly is a longer run than we've had in the last several years of trying to make the playoffs, of course. So, yeah, I think it's a good signing, Scott. I do. And Jeremy, I think it is.
All right, Candy, you know what? Go to Will Vogel's comments. He's got some stats up there. These are really good. 109 career points. Agree with the extension. You and everybody else will call great minds think alike. All right. Only the Red Wings, Detroit Tribune. Hello, guys. Where can I get one of those hats? Which one are you talking about, Blake? My hat, or are you looking at Jeremy's or George's? Which one? You let me know. We'll figure it out for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jeremy, some thoughts on Michael Rasmussen.
Great signing, adds depth to the team, well needed. 109 career points. That means he's a facilitator as well as a scorer. And that's important. Look at Patrick Kane, 8 points in his last 4 games. Smoking Jay's hat. Yeah, it's the same hat. I just got a headphone on with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Blake. We'll try to get one to you the next month as soon as we can because we ordered them and I'll get your information. We'll find a way to get one to you. All right, go continue on though, Jeremy.
But I hope he does provide a nice spark for this playoff push because we are right now, as of the last win, 4 points above the next team behind them in the playoff push. I think it's a great move.
Okay, very good. Yeah, it's unanimous here. I've always liked Michael Rasmussen, and Steve Eiserman is smart enough to know with his experience in Tampa. When you get good players, you keep your own. Don't worry about bringing in new people. And he's taking the same philosophy that he learned at the Lightning, and he's doing it with the Wings. And as a result, they've made progress. We'll stay out with the Red Wings again. The Red Wings in Columbus will play an outdoor game at Ohio Stadium, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes and home where the Michigan Wolverines and the Buckeyes play each other every other year. And that Stadium Series game is in 2025 on March 1st. All right, it's amazing. Michigan, Ohio State. I've actually seen a game in Columbus at Nationwide Arena. And they were in the Central Division before they ended up switching divisions. But, I like this Detroit-Columbus rivalry. I think it's pretty neat when you talk about the fact that the cities are only a couple hours apart off the US 23. So, George, give me your take on it.
Yeah, I was very happy to hear the news about that. The Stadium Series has really, really taken foot. The NHL really is smart doing this. Okay, first of all, they don't limit it to just January 1st. Which, as we know, the Red Wings have played several times on the national holiday. But this Stadium Series, and just look at last weekend, for example, they had over 70-some thousand Saturday and another 70-some thousand on Sunday, largest crowd ever for a hockey game in the state of New Jersey. I think the Red Wings, and we've talked about this before, guys. And Scott's driven this point home many times, and he's so right. They're a national team. They're an original six, and the networks love to show the Red Wings some love and put them on national broadcast. Now, Columbus is one of a handful of teams that has not played an outdoor game. So I think it's pretty cool that the league selected the Red Wings as an opponent for that game next year. It'll be a lot of fun. The horseshoe, and like you said, the U of M Buckeyes rivalry, and the Blue Jackets and Red Wings now are going to pick right up, and I'm sure it'll be a great game. I'm very happy that this matchup's been sealed.
Well, Candy Ebling, by the way, take note of what Blake Lozinski said. You handle all the business matters. You should drop a merch line for the South Florida Tribune. There you go. There's another way to, and an unbelievable job that she does on the website is ridiculous. It's just amazing what she does. So before I go to Jeremy, though, I want to mention a couple of other things while I have the opportunity. We do broadcast live, though, folks, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website, by the way, is www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X at Tribune South. Candy Ebling behind the scenes producing the show. And of course, I mentioned my book, which is located in the top right part. Okay, lessons from the microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. Okay, old school media versus new school media, available on Kindle and Amazon. And Jesse, Blake, I hope you go out there and get it, because I know that you guys will learn a lot there. And never know, one of these days we're going to bring you on here with us and you can talk with us. So for all y'all that are tuning in for the first time, my book, Lessons from the Microphone, is available on Amazon and Kindle. And it's a great read for anybody that wants to learn about the business, or as well as how it used to be many, many years ago when George and I got in it there. So with that said, we'll pick everything up with Jeremy. You know the drill. We're talking about Red Wings and Columbus. Go ahead.
Should be an amazing atmosphere there at the OSU Stadium, the Horseshoe. I mean, you're talking about a wide open end where if somebody really can't afford the tickets, they can sit outside the stadium and still see in at the rink level. And they might actually be able to use their cameras to zoom in and get some good shots themselves. I think it's a nice open venue. The temperature might be an issue because Columbus isn't that much warmer than Ann Arbor. So I want to see what happens. I think it's going to be a great game either way. Columbus Blue Jackets, they're newer, they're establishing their own history in the NHL, but Red Wings are an original six team. And anytime they can be outside in an outdoor stadium, it reminds you of the old days.
Sure does. Joshua Burstein, I'm going to hold off on answering your question right now. We still have a bit of a season. I know your heart's the Panthers, and they're playing real well off their Stanley Cup Finals appearance. Or certainly, there's no let up to Florida Panthers. But Josh, if you don't mind, I'd like to just refrain a little bit from that prediction a little bit, because it might be premature. But the Panthers, I say this, Joshua, they are on the right track. So there you go. I hope that that's acceptable for you right now. And of course, now you're looking at Vancouver and Colorado. I'll tell you, those are two teams that you can watch out for too. I like Vancouver Canucks. I really, really do. Florida's coming off of the loss to the Vegas. Now do you take that loss and then turn it into a championship, knowing you got there, you tasted it, now you want to taste it more? That's the only thing I can give you, Joshua. So with that said, we're going to talk about Chauncey Billups, and then we'll let Jeremy take over with some Lions updates. And by then, we'll wrap up the broadcast. Okay, with that said, Chauncey Billups obviously is amongst the finalists of the Basketball Hall of Fame. George, some thoughts. Obviously, things aren't going well as a coach with the Portland Trail Blazers, but Chauncey may have Springfield to look ahead.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's well deserving. Chauncey had a great NBA career as well as a solid college career. He's been eligible and nominated for several years now. So I was very, very happy to hear that he's going to be a finalist in the voting. So he's a finalist. So there's one more round, if you will, of voting that's going to occur for this prestigious panel of sportscasters, of sports writers, and media folks that make the selections for the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. There were great players on that team. I mean, let's be honest: Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, and Rip Hamilton, and Chauncey Billups, and Larry Brown was the coach. And we all know what that team meant: going to work, working hard, working your butt off. And the Pistons had a great unit that year, and like I said, Chauncey's a good man. I've always liked him. He's always been, amicable to talk to, as you and I have known. Chauncey's a good guy. Now, the only other piece of the puzzle, and we'll talk about this at another time, but we got to get our man George Blaha to get the media award in the Hall of Fame. But that's for a discussion on another day. But congratulations, Chauncey, on making the finals.
Well, of course, he has a number retired in Detroit as well. So
yeah,
that's one thing maybe the only thing missing from his resume. We'll see how it plays out in a matter of weeks. All right, Jeremy.
What a pleasure it was watching that 2004 team win the championship that year. And as insignificant as he was to the roster, let's not forget that was the infamous Darko Milicic draft as well. Uh, but Chauncey Billups is well deserving. I think he should get in. I mean, without him to facilitate the offense, to dish that to Rip Hamilton when he was wide open for those threes, to dish it to Tayshaun as he was driving to the basket. The slenderest small forward in NBA history. I mean, he looked like a walking stick with hair. But what a great end to his career if he gets in.
Yeah, unanimous all the way around. Will Vogel once again love seeing Billups as finalist, as leader of 04. I'll tell you one thing though, the biggest trade though that they made was when they got Rasheed Wallace, and Larry
Yeah.
Brown was able to go out there and keep Rasheed under control. You know what, George? I think we both can relate to this. Larry Brown to Rasheed Wallace was what Chuck Daly was to Dennis Rodman.
Oh, good comparison.
I
Yeah.
think I believe that. Larry Brown will take, Rasheed went off like a loose cannon. Larry Brown was right in the middle of it. Don't worry, I can handle you. Every other coach you had couldn't handle you, but I could do it. And when you have Rasheed Wallace, of course, it doesn't hurt that they're North Carolina guys either, but still, Larry Brown always had Rasheed Wallace's back. He did. I'll leave it at that. All
Yes,
right.
he did.
I'm going to turn over to Jeremy. Just a few Lions updates before we call it a night. Everybody ought to know that immediately after Fire Up Michigan, we have the Sports Exchange afterwards. But Jeremy, since he's a Lions authority, I'd like him to go out there and just give us a few basic updates so we keep our Lions fans in the loop about what's going on here during the offseason. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, to make room for the new coaches that have been added to the roster, the Lions removed several coaches from their website, including Brian Duker, who is now the secondary coach for the Finns, Dre Bly, who was on a one-year contract, John Scott, the D-line coach, which the D-line kind of regressed from what they were the year before, so that's not to be unexpected. Assistant defensive coordinator John Fox and Jim Hostler. All of them were assistant coaches. They weren't coordinators. I don't think it messes with the scheme of things. That and Tracy Walker being released that actually frees up $5.5 million of cap space. We all saw when he started being a healthy scratch through the end of the season, and guys like Ifeatu Melifonwu starting instead of him while CJ was still hurt. And Melifonwu actually has almost the same exact numbers in his 6 starts for passes defended and interceptions that Tracy Walker has had in his 4-year career here.
Very good. You know what, Big Dan Davis, why don't you go ahead and chime in? I want this one up there, Candy. Speaking of the 2020, look at this guy. Who in your right mind would ever forget about that block shot from Tayshaun Prince? Really?
That's wonderful. I mean, he hit that so hard against the backboard, it bounced out to Ben.
I remember.
He got it, and Ben got the rebound. I remember that play vividly. Because it went right past Reggie Miller, past Ron Artest, straight to Ben.
Yeah, unbelievable, Dan.
Yeah,
Dan, I'm glad you brought it
great.
up. Good stuff. So, anything else you guys want to add? Real quick before I call it a night?
Well, I wanted to add one thing, and that's regarding the Pistons. Obviously, I have some crow to eat, guys. I'll make it real quick. I'm one of the guys that said, get rid of Dwayne Casey. Remember Dwayne Casey, you guys? Okay, because we weren't playing defense. Well, they bring in this multi-million dollar coach, and guess what? The Pistons still not improving defensively like I thought they would. It's a sad situation. I hope they can turn it around. Obviously, Monte Williams is here for the long run, but boy, oh boy, I mean, Dwayne had his issues with the players playing defense, and now look what happens. It happened again, but I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Nothing wrong with that. Really, I don't think you get rid of a coach that premature, especially considering you get the cupboard bare. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Right.
The thing is I'm more blaming it on Troy Weaver because we had a whole bunch of scoring guys that he's picked up in the draft and in free agency. And then when he made some trades of scoring guys, he got scoring guys back instead of defenders. So you can't round out your roster that way. It's a detriment to this team what Troy Weaver has done. He started out great the first year, gutting the roster of those bloated contracts and then going in the right direction. and we overachieved that year. And now it looks like it might be 10 years before we get back to the playoffs if it keeps going the way it is.
Yeah, you know what, Jeremy? Troy Weaver is the guy to blame for it. There's no way in the world I'm blaming Monty Williams. Big Dan Davis, let's go back to his comments. Jaden
Yeah.
Ivey even filled out his own team earlier this year for not playing defense. That's when you know it's bad. You know what? Big Dan Davis, commit these words to your memory. GMTA, great minds think alike, okay? And you'll be quizzed on it the next time I'm on this broadcast. So hopefully but there you go. So meanwhile, that concludes this edition of Fire Up Michigan. And as my alert here goes off on my diabetes thing here, it just lets you know that I've had a little pizza tonight, so don't worry about it, ignore it. But so George, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
All right, Scott. Sure. You can find me on the South Florida Tribune website under the Motor City Tribune, where I write with Scott Morganroth and Spoken Jeremy B. And we bring you coverage of Detroit. And it's a great little site to make sure you subscribe to. At the end of my column is a little link. If you want to click and see my book, it's called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. Thank you, Scott and Jeremy, for contributing and buying the book. And also, you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name, George Icorn. Or you can also reach me on Twitter or X, as some people call it, at SandGSports99. Look forward to seeing people on the 108 Stitches, Fire Up shows, Pundits, Sports Exchange, and looking forward to hearing more comments and being part of these shows. You guys are all doing a great job. We appreciate everybody out there viewing and listening to us.
Well, Joshua Bernstein's already a fan of yours already. Hey, Joshua, you know what? If you can find us a sponsor for these shows, we'll give you a little piece of the action. So just keep that in mind. Again, I know you're a friend of the family, friend of the show. So, no, Joshua, so anybody out there that can find us a sponsor, let us know. We'll definitely give you some money depending on what they end up doing. So I'm glad you brought that up, Joshua. We certainly like to do that. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Well, where can't you find me? I'm not on TikTok anymore, so there's one. But no, to be serious, you can find me on the Motor City Tribune underneath the great authors such as Scott Morganroth and George Icorn, where you can find my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com. You can find me here at the South Florida Tribune channel for any of the Fire Up shows where I'm needed, which is tonight, tomorrow night, and Sundays, when and if permitting. You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. You can also find me on Football Talk 365, where I have a morning show that I do daily at 11 a.m. talking Detroit Lions. Wednesday night is my NFL-based show on my channel. And Fridays is my Lions Fan Cave chat, where we get into more detail and actually talking about it.
And folks, I have to remind you that our ticker across the board gives you the information that I tend to talk about as well. So that'll tell you that you can find the audio version as well as my book as well. So I like to read it once a month. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see it as well. So again, the main things that people should take away from this is our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. My book now, of course, Lessons on the Microphone. And I am working on an outline for part 2 that I hope that if everything goes according to plan, I'll have it done by the end of the year. It won't be quite as long as the original version because I'm only looking to add things I wasn't able to put in the first version. And when you put together a book, George ought to know that it's all about making the pieces fit, and that's what we're trying to do anyway. So, I want to make sure that, and of course, this is the type of industry where there's so many updates with streaming and all that. It's just, you can't keep track of it in the first place. So, again,
Joshua Bird, action to find me on the Motor City Tribune. It's under Jeremy T. Ballrick. That's my real name. That's my author name. I don't use a pen name for that. That is my podcaster name, is all that is.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Well, South Florida Tribune, then under the Motor City Tribune drop-down box is what it is. But you'll find them there. That's okay. A lot of people realize that they're both related and how they approach it on the website so they don't get confused. Of course, Joshua knows my number anyway, so he'll find it one way or the other. So again, www.southfloridatribune.com is our website. At Tribune South is where you find us on Twitter /X, and of course my book. And you've seen it right in front. You want to email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. I want to thank everybody that participated in the chat room tonight. You're always great, and we always enjoy getting all your comments up there and addressing everyone that we can. And without you folks, the show really is, it's just us talking to one another, and we like to be able to incorporate more individuals into this whole setup. So on behalf of George Eichhorn and Smoke Jeremy V, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Fire Up Michigan. At the top of the hour, we're going to have the Sports Exchange. George Eichhorn and I are going to flip over there. We'll be joined by Travis Holmes and Jacob Christner as well. Jeremy's going to have a busy few days. So, and folks, what I want you to go is check out on Thursday nights with their show, because that's unbelievable with him and Candy, George, and Ralph Williams. And on Sunday, Jeremy and Candy do a wonderful job. So once again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you at the top of the hour for the Sports Exchange. Good night, everybody.